Thank you for watching Ben Television. This program is You Decide. We give you information, facts, and analysis, but at the end of the day, you decide. I'm so glad you're watching. My name is Shegun Johnson, and we have so many issues for you to think about today, but we want to give you an informed opinion. We have many qualified candidates to do that in this studio. As a matter of fact, we have a special guest all the way from Nigeria, and it's my pleasure to welcome Dame Julie to the program. Dame Julie, you are welcome to this program.
Thank you for having me.
We have our in-house political analyst, Mazi Godson Azu. Godson, you are welcome to the program.
Good morning, Doc, and good morning, viewers. It's my great pleasure again this Wednesday to be with you, and we look forward to wonderful discussion.
Yes, and last but not the least is our in-house researcher, Nati Yako. Nati, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thank you very much.
I'm so glad we are ready for it. The United Kingdom is making waves among all the nations. The vaccine is going on very well. In some other countries, they are struggling. In Europe, they are still struggling to catch up with the percentage of those who have been vaccinated vis-a-vis the United Kingdom. The United States of America is picking up since Joe Biden was installed as the president. But we have reached over a quarter of the population here who have been vaccinated, at least for the first time. We understand it's 15.6 million for the first time, and the second dose has been given to over 1 million. With this one, things are looking very well. The R rate, which determines the rate of infection, is going down tremendously, and deaths have started going down tremendously, and the hospitals are still congested, but we believe that they will be going down. Things are going well, but we have a very strong but. Some members of the BAMA, that's the Black and Asian minority ethnic, they are trying to say they're not going to take the vaccine because of the social discrepancies over the years, and they were not sure. And so we started a few weeks ago from vaccine nationalism to vaccine protectionism. Today, what we discuss is vaccine evangelism. This is where we take the evangelism of the vaccine system to various groups, various churches, various monks, and try to tell them the good news of the vaccine. So we have vaccine evangelism on our side. I think I've done my fair share, but I want you to watch this video as a continuation of vaccine evangelism in the United Kingdom.
Hi, I'm Dr. Charles Sene. I'm an NHSGP, and I'm originally from Nigeria. And as you can tell, I'm black. Now, I've been lucky enough to have my COVID-19 vaccine, and I feel all the better for it. I know some people are concerned about this vaccine due to some of the negative information going about the internet. One of this negative information is that the government wants to use this vaccine to wipe out a certain aspect of the population. Another negative information is that this vaccine contains microchips with which the government wants to control us. Now, I work as a senior doctor in one of the COVID-19 vaccination hubs, and from one vial of the vaccine, we drop several doses. This we give to people of different races. Now, I have looked at the vaccine, and there are no microchips on them, and there's no particular vial that's left for any particular race. So please do not let this negative information stop you from having a potentially life-saving vaccine. If you're concerned and you want to speak to someone, speak to your GP so you can make an informed decision. However, if you want to speak to someone like yourself, someone from your race, like me, email us at covid19@afrogp.co.uk and we'll get someone to call you back. Stay safe.
That's one of the numerous vaccine evangelism going on. I've done my fair share. I have taken the vaccine and I didn't have much problem. I took paracetamol before going, and when they gave me in 10 seconds, I was out of the place. The whole thing took me about 7 minutes. parked my car and went straight, did the registration. They took my name down. They took my address and my GP word. And in 10 seconds, the beautiful lady smiling all the time. I did not even know the pin had penetrated me. And in seconds, she said, "You could go, gentlemen." And that was all. Now, Azu, I know you have been involved in a town hall meeting in Peterborough. And one of your items on the agenda was taking the vaccine. How has it been going in Peterborough?
Well, thank you, Doc. The process has been going on very successfully here in Peterborough, as we had the opportunity to engage with the Nigerian community and also other members of the African community here in Peterborough to share some critical issues surrounding the ongoing social media viral messages that are really endangering the mind of many of the members of the community about the impact or the stereotyping of the vaccine content if injected into their body, such as people thinking there's a microchip in the vaccine that if injected, everyone becomes a remote-controlled individual in their various communities, and some thinking that there is something in the vaccine that is meant to eliminate a particular ethnic group in the world. And these are very, very, very sad conspiracies and propaganda emanating from certain group of people around the world. Well, we have been able to deduce these informations and bring about a very informed opinion on why people should make personal decisions.
Let me ask you, have you taken the vaccine yourself?
Well, really not. My age group hasn't come up. We're still waiting for our age group. You know, it's been.
So when your age group, I think you must be 30 something. Are you 35 or so? Anyway, never mind. You don't have to answer that question. When they come to 35, will you go?
Our age group is lined to come into place by April, May. So I hope to see when that comes by April, May. Well, somehow some people don't think I am, but I am. I'm a middle-aged man now, so hopefully
let's keep our secret. God's let's keep our secret. Let me ask Nat. Nat, what are the reasons that people are still giving for not wanting to take the vaccine? Are those reasons still tenable? They said the DNA will change to mRNA, and they said 666 chip. Are those things still viable? I mean, are they viable? What's the situation now?
Well, I think really nothing much has changed because what really happened, this evangelism should have started before the vaccination itself. Because people have been loaded with these conspiracy theories so that they don't even know which one to believe now. And so, as I keep saying, this issue of COVID-19, the vaccine should have been taking a holistic approach, taking along every segment of the society, but that was not done. People are entitled to their own convictions, their own religious persuasions, and above all, these are going to be personal decisions to be taken by individuals, and knowing that there will be consequences, plus or minus. And so this evangelism may have to continue for the next 6 months, because we want to be sure there's a comprehensive and total picture of the percentage of those who have taken. We are told of 15.5 million, but nobody is telling us about the side effects, as if nothing else has happened. Nothing negative has happened to anybody that has taken the vaccine. I think the government should come out more transparent, open, and convince people that they mean well for everybody.
Okay, that's a fair way to look at it. I know Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, has been talking variously about this, and I know different MPs have gone back to their various constituencies. And I recall that David Lammy, the MP of Tottenham, where we have our office, is come to discuss with us in Haringey, and all the NHS officials and Haringey Council officials came out. Ejiofor is the name of the council leader there. He happens to be a Nigerian in his background, and he was trying to convince the rest of Nigerians in the borough, please go for it, because you will be the only one left out, and the challenges might be great. But let us ask from the Nigerian side of things, Dame Julie, how far, the Nigerians will say, how far? So how far, Dame? Do you have vaccine at all in Nigeria right now?
No, not yet, but we are working towards it. So far, so good. Because of lack of trust, people were very skeptical about the vaccine. These theories that were coming in, flying in around on the social media and all of that. But now with the advocacy going on, the whole of government, whole of society approach, the meetings with leaders, the faith-based organizations, CSOs, NGOs, town hall meetings, and so has really helped to change the mindset of a lot of people now. So I'm sure we're now ready to receive the vaccines as soon as they arrive.
Yeah, I'm skeptical a bit about being ready in Nigeria because there was a challenge between Bua and Kakovid. Bua said they got 1 million vaccines. They said no, it wasn't because it was a government to government. Have we resolved that in Nigeria? And why has Nigeria, the Nigerian government, not deposited money to get some, at least millions of the vaccine by now?
Well, honestly, I think that question should go to the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Honorable Minister of Health. I'm not in a position to answer any of these very technical questions that are based on the national policy.
Yeah, I will agree with you. It's only that we know that Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa. And so they have over 200 million to get at the end of the day. And the earlier, the better. How about the rumor that COVID is not in Nigeria? And majority of the people say COVID is still not in Nigeria. So there's social distancing is still nothing to write home about. Is that idea being changed in the minds of people now?
No, I don't agree with you that it's a majority. I think it's a very minute minority. And besides, there's a new law now, which makes not wearing your mask or adhering to the COVID protocol a crime. So anyone who is caught without wearing a mask or distancing themselves will be arrested. So that is going on right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that information will really go down with a lot of us outside of the country. We'll be coming back to you to ask about you and what you do in a moment. We are so glad you are here in the program. Well, we have good news from Nigeria, and in fact, this good news affects the whole world. It is no longer news that Nigerians are making waves all over the world. The chairman of African Development Bank is the Nigerian Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, and he had a serious challenge with the United States of America. The Trump administration refused to acknowledge him to run his second term. However, he was found clean and he was returned unopposed to that position of the man in charge of African Development Bank. Then it was the turn of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the Nigerian erstwhile financial minister under Jonathan, and he then was transferred. She was transferred to foreign affairs for a small time by Obasanjo. But here we are. She again asked to contest for the position of the Director General of the World Trade Organization, and she had problem first of all with her colleagues, and finally she got to the last two. The South Korean Minister of Finance also was vying for the same position, and majority of the people supported her. Unfortunately, the Donald Trump minister or the presidency did not support her, and she had to wait, and she waited. Donald Trump lost the election in the United States. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came in, and one of the first things is to recognize the best woman for the job, and it happens to be Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and we just want to celebrate her. Let me start from our in-house researcher, Nat Iyakwo. What else do you want to add to this beautiful, brilliant woman who had done us proud, not only this time, but several times, severally, and has been the one to look out for at this moment in the world?
I think let's rearrange the sequence of our ministership in Nigeria.
Please do.
Obasanjo appointed her as Minister of Finance, but later on moved to Minister of Foreign Affairs under Obasanjo. At the end of Obasanjo's regime, Jonathan came in and appointed her as Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. And she also, under Obasanjo, she led the Nigerian team to seek for debt cancellation and forgiveness from the Paris Club. And we had our debt wiped off. And we now had a clean slate. She's outspoken. She stands her ground when she has a point to make passionately, and she happens to be from the South, from a family that is deep rooted in the academics. The Okonjo himself, the father of Ngozi, is a professor, and and also the traditional ruler of Obuachuku, a town in Delta State, and she has performed credibly to the pride of Nigeria in the international arena, the World Bank groups, and African Union appointed her as a consultant in the area of their finances and the area of negotiating for COVID-19 vaccines, and it goes on and on. So we add our voices to congratulate first woman, first Black African, and wish her all the best. Successful tenure.
All right, thank you very much. Ngozi is just the one to give accolade to. Mazi, what will you say to Ngozi? What will you say at a time like this?
Well, I have not too much to say than to say congratulations to a Nigerian African Amazon, a great woman who has shown great enthusiasm, commitment, hard work to resolving not just issues pertaining to Nigeria as a country, but also issues concerning countries in Africa and also the underdeveloped countries around the world. She's been a very great advocate of poverty alleviation, equality, sustainable development through the World Bank platform, where she has worked for over 3 decades in various capacity. And having that huge global experience in the banking, global banking institution, and a very deep understanding of developmental challenges across the world, I think she is suitable for this great challenge she's taken up now. We know that there is a very strong um, um, international politics, in the international arena, with regards to the emerging power trajectory between China, America, and Russia today within the WTO, and also the issues emerging now recently within the EU and Brexit. She's got a lot on her table to be able to bring Africa to the center of discussion, because everyone is saying now in the new multipolar world order, in which there's a political and political economy challenges and competition between the East and the South, with that's between China, Japan, America, Russia, Britain, and Europe, on who dominates the resources of the world. And 80% of these resources of the world comes from Africa. And the issue now is, being the face of Africa now at WTO, being a woman that is not easily moved or persuaded, how good we should be able to project the great interest of Africans.
She will be solving those problems, won't she? Let's get to our dame in Nigeria, Dame Julie. How proud were you when Ngozi was announced as the first woman who will be the DG of WTO? You yourself being a wonderful woman who has taken many great job career in your life. How proud were you?
Wow, I was extremely proud. I mean, especially being someone from the South as well. I saw her emergence as a victory to women of the South, women of the Niger Delta, to Nigeria, and to the whole world for that matter. You know, and it has just proved that our place is no longer in the kitchen, and women don't have to be women don't have to be relegated to the background. And it only shows that women can lead as well. Our voice is very loud, very clear, very eloquent, very brilliant. And I can assure you we're going to experience the best tenure so far. And I want to say very big congratulations to our dear own Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And we, the youths, are getting ready to continue from wherever she stops. Thank you.
Dame Julie, I mean, there's something brilliant about you. There's an aura of dignity, integrity about you. We would like our viewers to know you more. You just told us you are from the South. I know you are the chairman of the United Nations Voluntary Trust Fund, and I know you've taken other big, eminent roles in Nigeria. We want our audience to meet you. Who is Dame Julie? Can we meet you, please?
Thank you very much. Dame Julie Okadonli is a lawyer, a chartered secretary and administrator, a chartered arbitrator as well, and a certified auctioneer. I was appointed the Director General of NAPTIP, that is the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, and up until 1st of December 2020. Before then, I had served in various capacities. I had worked with the Securities and Exchange Commission. I had worked with the UBA trustees. I had, ran my own legal company, legal firm as a lawyer. I had also worked in various legal firms as well. Right now, I chair the United Nations Voluntary Trust Fund for Victims of Trafficking. And I also am the chairman of the Roost Foundation. The Roost Foundation will be launched very soon, and on the day of the launching, I'll also launch the website, so you'll be able to know more about us. For what we are going to be doing in the Roost Foundation, it is an anti-human trafficking non-governmental organization. It is also an anti-violence and sexual and gender-based violence organization as well. We're going to be adopting the 4P paradigm, which is the prevention, the partnership, the protection, and the protection. Now, under the prosecution, we're going to be having pro bono lawyers who are going to be taking perpetrators of violence and human trafficking to court free of charge to ensure that victims are given adequate compensation. The criminal aspect of it will be handled by NAPTIP, which is the agency mandated to carry out at all levels and violence as well. What we discovered is that most of the time, some of these victims are so scared of taking the perpetrators to court for criminal charges. At the end of the day, they back out. And sometimes because of the long proceedings and all of that, they get frustrated. So we are going to fill in the gaps where they decide to opt out of the criminal proceedings. We will ensure that the criminal does not have a hiding place. He or she must part with something reasonable and commensurate to the crime that is perpetrated. And on the part of the partnership, of course, we are going to be adopting the whole of government. We're going to be partnering with everyone, I mean everyone. We're going to partner with the students, with the media, the CSOs, the NGOs, law enforcement agencies, the MDAs, and so on and so forth. And on the area of prevention, awareness campaigns everywhere.
Okay. This is very interesting, and I just want to ask a question. I hope you are raising, you are discipling younger ladies to take your place in future, so that there'll be continuity in this good job you are doing.
Absolutely. As I speak right now, there was this lady that was rescued. There was this lady that was rescued in Egypt, and she's now employed here. So she's working for me. So these are one of the ways of mentoring. These are one of the ways of mentoring these girls, you know, the victims, to make sure that. And when I was in NAPTIP as Director General, we employed 3 former victims of trafficking, and right now they are still staff of NAPTIP. And I hope that the new dispensation will continue with that, because that's a new policy that I put in place to ensure that every victim, as many victims as possible, will be employed in NAPTIP.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. I think we now know you, and you from your background, you've gone from national to international. And we know that the sky is even too small to be the limit. So we shall be continuing to know you more, even in the course of this program. I still have a few questions to ask you. Let's go on a break. When we return, Nigeria lost one of its greatest politicians, administrator, and elder statesman in the person of LKJ. You don't go away. We will be right back.
Ben TV, your ethnic and Africa-led television, welcomes your input, contribution, and support to facilitate our continuous program production, campaign for projects, and other media-related services. We have been here for closer to 2 decades.
Thanks for staying with us. It's Ben Television, and the program is You Decide. Lateef Kayode Jakonde has been taken as the best statesman we ever had, especially coming out from Lagos State. This was a man who was made a governor and never went to the governor's house to stay and enjoy the place. This was the man who established a Lagos State University. This was a man who did many things for his state, and he remained humble till the time of death. We were told of the sad news that he passed away at the ripe age of 91, but no one will have loved to miss Lateef Kayode Jakonde. Unfortunately, he just had to go due to old age. But I must say this one, Governor Lateef Jakonde of the first civilian governor of Lagos State, he saw a vision that Lagos should have a metro, and he decided to pay for it, look for a company in France, and they did a roadmap and started it. Unfortunately, the Buhari administration came in on the last day of 1983, and the first thing that they did on the first day of 1984 was to cancel that metro line, saying that there was not enough foreign exchange to complete it. At a time, Nigeria had all the money in this world. So Buhari military administration destroyed what will have happened to Lagos transportation. I mean, that is on record that the Buhari administration could not move away from. The military administration had to destroy that view just to say that they had to come to power by force. And it was a very sad thing, because it will have fed the Lagos State community, it will have fed all the surrounding states, that is Oyo State, Ogun State, Edo State, and probably Delta State, and up to Togo and the Republic of Benin. They will have enjoyed from this metro. But the military administration destroyed that vision. Uh, who can say all the things that Jakonde had ever done for his own dear state? But let me just ask Nat Yakwo, someone who normally does all the research for us. Nat, what more can you tell us about Lateef Kayode Jakonde?
Okay, let me add to what you have just said about the architect of modern Lagos. I can easily and proudly say Lateef Jakonde was the architect of modern Lagos. All other governors after him combined cannot even come near his performance. Tinubu, who is now the Asiwaju of Lagos, Jagaban of everywhere, took over from Jakonde, well, not directly, after the military handed power to. Yeah. And Jagaban, Tinubu had to go and pick up the notes, the vision and the mission of Jakonde, and he built his government on what Jakonde had planned, the visions of Jakonde. And Jakonde, his level of humility cannot be overemphasized. There was an incident where he had to go to Alausa to visit Tinubu. Tinubu was the governor then. This man queued up. He did not just go straight into the governor's office because he was former governor, and he even built that office Tinubu was occupying. He had to wait. As the normal people would wait for their turn to see the governor until he was identified, and somebody rushed to inform Tinubu, and Tinubu came out himself to pick up Jakonde to his office for discussion. So that is the level of his humility, and has been said, he drove his own car. He wasn't using any siren. He stayed in his house for the 4 years he was governor of Lagos State. In addition to Lagos State University, he also established Lagos State Polytechnic. Jakande was known for his policies in education, free education, housing for all, and health for all. He abolished the boarding school system in Lagos to free more money to build more schools where every child had opportunity to go to school in the nearest place to his residence. And Jakande was known to have established or built the largest housing estate in Africa, called as Gwarimpa Housing Estate in Abuja, and another housing estate in Abuja, Lugbe Housing Estate. Apart from the housing estates he built in Lagos, almost everywhere, they were affordable and they were transparent when you want to secure a house in Lagos. He was a servant leader, a role model, and we have talked about the metro line, Jakande, metro line project Jakande had planned for Lagos. He was also a professional journalist. In fact, he was a journalist before coming into politics, and he had very high standard for his staff and for the journalism industry. Interestingly enough, Jakande did all these things in 4 years. 4 years before the military came. It wasn't 8 years, but 4 years he was able to do this.
All right, thank you very much. Mazi, I know that your surname doesn't look it, but you are a Lagosian, born and bred in Lagos, even married one of our own sisters. We are forgiving you. You are a Lagosian by birth and action, even in Yoruba accent. And you used to be a politician in Lagos. What have you got to say about LKJ?
Thank you, Doc. Well, I'm very glad that we are talking about a great man, a great politician, an octogenarian, a visionary, and an accomplished leader of recent time. I think in his generation, there are only very few that are within the same standard as late Alhaji Chief Lateef Jakande, such as the likes of Solomon La, who did very well when he was governor of Plateau State, such as Sam Mbakwe, who did very well when he was governor of Imo State. I am not too sure anyone that will meet the standard of these three great men when they ruled within the 4 years of their tenure in the early 80s. I am privileged to be one of those who benefited from the Jakande schools because I went to Methodist Boys High School in Lagos, and at a point, the school premises on Broad Street, we used to have our school on Broad Street just after the Shell headquarters. They decided to split our sections. So some of us who were from 1 to 3 were moved to a new location in VI, where the school is presently now, in VI, who are the first set of people that moved from Broad Street to VI. And that was the compound we moved to in VI was built by Jakande. It was a Jakande school, you know, the open block without no window, no doors. And some of us were like, come on, we can leave a very nice Broad Street and come and stay in this chicken-like. But then it was chicken shell. But then it was the most affordable school structure and the opportunity for many people across Lagos State, because these school structures were built all across the local governments in Lagos State. And we are one of the beneficiaries, and we enjoyed the moment in that place. We had good fun. And I also was one of those who enjoyed one of the, when the metro line project failed, he came up with what we then call the Babakekere, the ferry transportation. And we were one of those who really enjoyed the ferry transportation, even though he started
the ferry transportation was from
no,
Festac to Lagos.
he started it then before the Mudashiru government came with Buhari, and then they continued with that, but stopped the metro, because the metro actually, we saw the marking, the physical marking of the metro from Marina to end to Maitu, to Badagry. The marking then in the 80s, we saw it and we were very happy, looking forward to jumping into a train without paying when you are going home. But then we lost it, and we started taking the ferry from CMS to Maitu, back to Festac in those days. But Jakande has done so much, and I believe that in 4 years he did that magnitude of thing, and in 8 years Tinubu couldn't achieve any of those. He couldn't achieve 40% of what Jakande did. Tinubu didn't build any new housing estates. Tinubu didn't build any new schools. Neither did what's his name? The present minister for works. Now I keep forgetting his name. Fashola came in and started the Chinese wide dream. How do I call it? Wide dream monorail that is still a very
that will be completed in year 2050.
I don't know. I'm not sure it's going to be completed at all. How do I call it? Well, he came up with that and never completed it. He never built one single estate, never built an extra secondary school or primary school structures. Ambode came, the same thing. Nobody has been able to accomplish 40% of what Jakande started. Even to maintain the ones he built. You go to Jakande Estate in Maitu, go to Jakande Estate in Ipori, go to Jakande Estate in Obalende, go to Jakande Estate in Ipaja, go to Jakande Estate in Isolo, go to Jakande Estate in Isaleko, Lagos Island. They are all still the same building, no maintenance, nothing has been done until recently. A couple of weeks ago or months ago, Sanyo-Olu started a development structure, whatever, to see how they can renovate some of those estates and make them look more human, more accessible for people living there. I mean, he's a great man. And I think 4 years is enough for a governor to do something significant in any state in Nigeria. 8 years, it's a waste of time.
Godson, they said if Jakande, I don't know how you will react to this one. If Jakande were to contest election in today's Nigeria, he will lose because we will not have rice to distribute. He will not have 200 naira to give out to voters, and he will not have thugs to fight for him. Therefore, Jakande will lose in today's election.
Well, I believe so, because at the time Jakande stood for election, he was a man that stood with a very strong moral strength or condescends at that time. I mean, I still have a schoolmate of mine who said they lived on the same street with the governor in Ilupeju. And at that point, even when he was governor, his wife was still selling Coke and Fanta in front of the house. Some of them will be queuing to buy Coke and Fanta while the governor is arriving from office in Ikeja at home in Ilupeju, and they will be greeting him. They don't even know he's a governor. They will be greeting him, and he will greet them. And then he will jump out of the car and be asking Mama Jakande, I hope everything is fine. And they'll be wondering, like, is this really a governor coming, So that's how he can. He's doing the same thing that he's doing the same thing that people are now projecting about Angela Merkel of Germany. Angela Merkel has been living in the same house she lived before she became Chancellor, German Chancellor. She is still using almost the same clothes she started using 30 years ago. She's still wearing some of them to work today. She still does the
Okay,
laundry
okay,
herself.
okay,
You see,
okay.
these are the kind of politicians.
Angela
These
Merkel.
are the kind of politicians that can have a vision and accomplish those visions without thinking about they aligning their pocket, aligning their family household, aligning their close relationship, their close relations, without
We can
thinking
learn
of
a
the
lot from
masses.
him. We can learn a lot from him. Let's ask our Dame Julie. I know that this will have been a shock to you in Nigeria. How did Nigerians take the death of Lateef Jakande Day?
Well, everybody will die one day, and luckily he lived, to a ripe old age. Even though we were still unhappy about the fact that he died. For me, LKJ was a real servant leader. A servant leader in the real sense of the word. I remember this free and compulsory education thing he started, the Jakonde schools. At the time, I was very upset because I could not imagine why a school should not have windows and doors and stuff like that. But as I grew older, I began to appreciate and understand what was behind his thoughts. Because at the time, I think there were schools in every street, on every street, every local government. So it gave everyone the opportunity to at least have access to a school close by to their houses. Then, of course, the housing for all was also one thing that was a good legacy. The ferry transportation, that one really worked from Mile 2 to CMS. It really helped a lot of people. At a point in time, so many people didn't even bother to drive their cars anymore because it was very reliable and fast. It saved cost, it saved time, and the traffic was even less at the time. Then, of course, the rail system and all of that. He did absolutely very well. And I just pray that the other governors can take a cue from that. I mean, build up from where he stopped. Continuity is very important. The problem we have is that when, a new administration comes, a new governor comes, he wants to start his own thing. They don't believe in continuing. If there's a project that is good, you continue with that project, build on it, make it even better, improve on it, continue as long as the project is working. Because all Jakonde's projects worked for Nigerians, and they're still working. As dilapidated as they are, they're still working. So we expect the governors to continue to build up from something good. You cannot just come and change a winning team in the middle of the game, or change something that is winning and expect to get results. You will definitely crash.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, ma'am. Still on Lagos State, the younger ones decided to go and stop the reopening of the Lekki toll gate. Natiyakwo, what happened on Saturday? Was there NSAS meeting there or not, or what really happened? Can you tell us?
Well, the planned peaceful demonstration for 13th of February 2021 was a result of the Lagos State Panel of Inquiry into NSAS crisis. The panel, the panel was divided. Over the reopening of the Lekki toll gate, and the peaceful demonstrators were saying that the 5-point agenda they raised against police brutality had not been addressed. The panel had not finished sitting. The panel had not submitted their recommendations to the governor who set up the panel. Why should they be thinking of reopening that toll gate? And that is where the problem started. While the protesters were gearing up for their protest, there was another counter group called Save Lagos or Keep Lagos Safe to counter their protest. And the police also were out to show police force. And the Commissioner of Justice in Lagos, the police commissioner, had declared that there would be no demonstrations in Lagos against the provision of the Constitution that guarantees freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. The police commissioner Lagos, the Commissioner of Justice said no way. So the D-Day, 13th of February arrived, and the demonstrators were approaching the toll gate, but the police were already waiting for them. They were not even allowed to demonstrate. Some passers-by were picked up and dumped into a waiting Black Maria, and the police brutalized those who were picked up. They dehumanized them. Some of them, most of the men, they removed their clothing. They were brutalized in the police van, all in the name of saying COVID protocols were not observed. But even the police didn't observe the protocol, and they quickly forgot that we remember the NIN registration. Nobody talked about protocol of the number of large people who turn out to register their SIM card to NIN. So these are this in summary what happened. Demonstration was not allowed, but people were arrested. People were charged to court, although they were granted bail that same Saturday evening or night.
Thank you very much for that update. Mazi, you think Nigeria can ever progress without adequate protest from these from the lack of governance we have seen? But when it comes to protest, that will be something that will be against the ills of the society, and the government is preventing it. How do we progress in a democracy like that when there is the absence of opposition?
Well, it's quite unfortunate. I mean, in the present day and age, globally, the essence of protest is for the masses to air their grievances and their anger to a government that is erring or that is functioning against the will of the people and delivering the negative expectations of the citizens in anticipation of the goods of good governance from those in authority. It's a general phenomenon for people to protest anywhere in a civilized world. In a world where there is a relative understanding of liberal order and social construct. And if we cannot have that in Nigeria, that simply means that we are running into a situation whereby we'll start experiencing a very draconian police state in Nigeria. Even though we know that many places around the developed world, when people protest and go beyond the limitations of their protest rule, the police intervenes or the security agencies intervene. Even here in the UK, even what is happening in Miami, or whatever they call it, former bomber, what happened during Donald Trump last days in office in the US, what's happening in Spain, what's happening in the Netherlands. Recently, people protesting against the restrictions, others of in regards to COVID. So people have the right in a civilized and a democratic society. Citizens must be given the right to engage in civil protests, in civil demonstrations, to air their view, to air their anger of an unlawful way of the people in power governing the affairs of the society. And that should be granted in Nigeria. It is understood that in every good gathering of people, there are elements of evil or bad intentions group of individuals. Just like you have,
I want to ask you a question.
You have the red-haired people.
Let me ask you this question to make it plain for our viewers. in every standard democracy, like we have seen in other places, there must be the opposition bringing an antithesis to the thesis of the government. Or put in another way, the opposition party tells the citizens the alternatives the government should have done. And with that alternative, the government will take part of it and use it to buttress their own position. In Nigeria, we don't have opposition in Lagos State. There is no PDP, no SDP, no party contradicting the excesses of Sanwo-Olu government. It's not, I'm not trying to put down the government or Governor Sanwo-Olu. I'm just trying to say that there is no opposition there to tell us of any alternatives of how to govern Lagos State, so that we'll be able to put pressure on the governor and his government what to do. Ditto for Nigeria, we don't have an opposition party that is telling the government the alternatives, how to be better in what they're doing. That is number one. Number two, the National Assembly or the State Assembly having the oversight of what the ministries are doing are just not absent, are just not present. They are so absent that the federal ministries do whatever they like without any counter from the National Assembly and the State Assembly. Given that situation, we have a monarchical government and not a democracy. How do you think we can explain it to the average Nigerian to say, look, you must demand for democracy where the legislature will have a pure oversight, that is to challenge the executive what they're doing? How do we educate ourselves to get to that position?
Well, the best way to educate ourselves to get to that position is for the masses themselves to rise on their own right. Because at the moment, when the political institutions that are supposed to be a watchdog to each other, or be an oversight to a ruling party in government and the party in opposition, are not functioning within that capacity, then it falls back to the citizens to begin to take that position and react on behalf of those who are supposed to be reacting on their behalf, who are not doing so.
Okay. But they did so. They did so. Wait a minute. They did so last Saturday, and you saw Mr. Macaroni. They had him for dinner.
I mean, the fact is that Nigerians have not really awoken to the reality of taking up a civil arm against a ruling government. And until we get to that moral or the human capacity, where people react to things without looking at the consequences of the after effect of that agenda. You look at what is happening here in the UK. It takes a Labour Party member to instigate a movement within the unions, within the various unions in the UK, to begin a protest agenda or a demonstration. And in one ring of a bell, the union would move hundreds of thousands of people into the central London for a protest, and the police would be overwhelmed before they knew what is happening. There's people in the center of London. You understand? The same thing happens all over the world. It took people from the Republican to instigate an agenda that the public took into their wing, and before you know, the whistle was blown, and suddenly you find hundreds of thousands of people in Capitol Hill. You find hundreds of people in hundreds of thousands of people in Washington. It takes a collective move.
And they're not paid. They're not paid.
Nobody. And Nigeria is looking for people to pay them to come out. That is the problem. So
let me ask Dave.
People want to be paid 1,000 or 2,000 naira for them to go and do a demonstration that will be to their greatest favor and to their own good. So how would you expect the person who is paying you is going back to the same government he's protesting against? He will go back to them and say, "Look, I have spent money. Do you want this protest to go on or not?" They will say, "Oh, okay, you are the one organizing this protest. Okay, please, don't let this protest go on." You know, they start bargaining and negotiating, and before you know, they settle the organizer of the protest pieces away. And before you realize what is happening, the organizer of the protest disappears, and then hoodlums takes over the space. And then we have this crisis, we have order, and police become
Okay, okay. We just have to
if
go. I didn't even look at the time. We must go on a break right now. It's time for break. When we return, we want to look at the appointment of the new EFCC chairman, Mr. Abdurrashid Bawa. We'll go for a short break, but stay with us.
Ben TV, your ethnic and Africa-led television, welcomes your input, contribution, and support to facilitate our continuous program production, campaign for projects, and other media-related services. We have been here for closer to 2 decades.
Thanks for watching Ben Television. The program is You Decide. We give you information, facts, and analysis, but you decide. All we're trying to say is that we want you to have an informed opinion so that there will be a better decision for the whole nation. It's not going to be a personal decision, but the collection of informed decisions will help put our nation on a better pedestal. And we still have all our members of the panel today, Dame Judy, Gosina Zoo, and Nat Yakwo. A few days ago, we were told that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Buhari, has presented the name of Abdurrashid Bawa to be the next EFCC chairman. That's Economic Finance Crime Commission. And all of a sudden, his CV has been written all over the pages of newspaper. What he has done very well, and some people said he has not done very well. But let's listen to our in-house researcher. Let's hear from the man who knows what to say. Nat, what have we got to know about Abdurrashid Bawa?
Thank you very much. Abdurrashid Bawa is 40 years old. He will be the first, if confirmed by the Senate, he will be the first EFCC chairman without a police background. He's not from the Nigerian police force. His background is he was the first, the pioneer EFCC academic cadet, which he completed in 2005. And he has also worked with all the past EFCC chairmen, right from Nuhuru Badu, Lamurde, Waziri, Magu. And he is an operative man. He's from Jega in Kebbi State, the same state with the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of Nigeria.
Is it true he's a cousin of that minister?
Well, I don't know. But all I know is that they are from the same state, Kebbi State, and he has a very intimidating CV at his age. He has worked in Nigeria. He has a FBI, CIA training, and so many other things he has done. He has handled high-profile cases like that of the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Madam Diezin Madueke Allison. And so he's coming in with, let's say, fresh blood. He's coming in at the 5th chairman of the EFCC. And
why then is he having problems? Why is he having problems with the public? Why they cataloged his non-performance or poor performance when he was in South South, and they had to recall him to Abuja? Why is he having such reports?
Well, I don't know where the reports are coming from, because he has had a very, very distinguished and brilliant career at his age. And
okay.
At his age, I think he has done very well. His only problem might be whoever sponsored his candidature, whoever recommended him to presidency, whether the Minister of Justice or the Attorney General of the Federation. That is where the problem might be. We remember the story of Magu. Magu had challenges with the Minister of Justice. And up to now, Magu has not been dismissed or sacked from the EFCC. We have not had any pronunciation from the presidency.
So Magu is still there. Magu, they set up a panel to look at Magu headed by Ayo Salami. We have not had the report of that panel, and yet now we are presented one before the Senate to ratify. Let's recall that Magu was presented twice, and Senate rejected him twice, and the government, the Buhari government, continue to push him, and now I'm not sure that they are not about to make another mistake. Let me ask Mazi. Mazi, what's your take on this man, Rashid Bawa, who we are told is a cousin of the Minister of Justice? I don't know whether that is true, but more importantly is that they said he was in Port Harcourt and he oversaw the selling of some badges at a very small prices. He had to be recalled to Abuja, and all of a sudden he was posted to Lagos. All of these are flying about in the social media. What do we know of this man?
Thank you, Doc. To be honest, I don't know anything about this young man. I'm not a very good fan of EFCC's activities. Neither am I very deeply concerned about most of their things the EFCC is doing in Nigeria. Because honestly, I would say that since the inception of that institution in Nigeria, it has been politicalized. The institution itself has failed in every ramification to justify the essence of its establishment as an independent body to investigate high-level corruptions in Nigeria without any fear or favor. But rather, I will tell you honestly, even though Obasanjo created that institution, he himself made use of that institution to prosecute his political enemies at a particular time during his administration. And that has continued without any recall, by every administration. So I will not say it's only about Buhari's administration intention to use that institution as an instrument to oppress and depress those political enemies that are surrounding him here and there.
How will you react? How will you react to the fact that we have not been given the report of Ayo Salami against Magu, where we were told so many things?
You will not be able to get any report from that panel of inquiry because
why?
Because those who are involved know what is involved in it. The truth may not be allowed to be said or told, and as such, that inquiry will just die natural death suddenly, and people will just realize that Magu is no more head of. He will go home silently and then re-emerge when a new fresh administration with a new fresh age comes into governance.
Should we not indict President Buhari for putting Magu there for 5 years when the Senate, led by Bukola Saraki, said that we cannot approve this man because he did not have the reason to be there. Now all of us have to go through all the challenges of Magu, and then for someone to be brought again. I mean, our leader is not accountable again.
Well, unfortunately, we have a leader that is not accountable to anybody, and nobody is ready to question him for accountability. So what do you expect? A country where the citizens are caged, the citizens are mauled, the citizens are cocooned, and the citizens are influenced. And as such, there's no need, because there's no need. Whatever they present to the citizens, they just have to swallow it. They have only 18 months to go, and then they will begin to decide whether they need the same set of people or they need to kick everyone out if they have the courage and the ability to do that, or else they continue to absorb whatever is thrown on them because they have no choice. Because when you demonstrate, you are kicked into prison. You don't demonstrate, you are caged into poverty. You speak, you are padlocked. You don't speak, you are padlocked. So, like one of my friends says that if you speak, you die. You don't speak, you die. What's his name again? Dino Malai. So that is what Nigeria is. You speak, you die. You don't speak, you die. So
I'm not sure that we as a country, we are following the right way to take away corruption in Nigeria. I think the approach we are adopting is that if you are found to be corrupt, we will jail you, we will take the money away from you. But from your vantage position of someone who has worked in a high place and you have mixed with the society, don't you think we should try another approach by going to schools and by going to universities to tell them, and of course, even the families, to show them the values of honesty, of not going the way of corruption? At what point do we now change tactics? Because the ones we are having in EFCC, DSS, they appear not to be working.
Well, I'm sure the EFCC would have their own strategies, their awareness programs, which they take to schools and take to parents and all of that. I really don't know what their modus operandi is, so I can't really speak. I don't know how they are approaching it. But I think a way to go about it, first of all, is to have a national orientation and reorientation to change the mindset of everyone, first of all. And then, of course, to now engage schools, parent-teachers associations, the faith-based communities, the media, the CSOs, the NGOs, and all of that. It should be an, all of government and all of society approach, to raise awareness, and to prevent it. Prevention, like I keep saying, is always better than cure. So I think the major strategy should be that of prevention.
Yeah, you are right. We used to have a mobilization agency that fizzled out, and I think we have the Nigerian Orientation Agency. But that one appears to be involved in writing the national anthem alone. Do you think NOA can do something?
I would not want to make any comments on what the agencies should be doing or should not be doing. They should come up with their strategies, and they are being paid to do their job. So they should come up with their strategies and do their jobs. And if they call me to be a consultant for them, then I will give them my strategies.
Yeah, I mean, your contribution has been very useful in that area, because I think it's going to be everyone to be involved. Everyone should be involved in this kind of massive cankerworm that we have called corruption. And it's just that there must be an arrowhead. National Orientation Agency could have been very good, but like you said, we really don't know how they are operating. But since you have given your olive leave, maybe they will take it. Thank you very much. We will. There are so many things that have happened in Nigeria in the last 1 week, and we will just want to move on. And of course, we always talk about insecurity in Nigeria, and it has gone another level, that the lacuna given by the government for not governing the nation appropriately has led to warlords in different areas, has led to different state apparatus, different from the police or the Nigerian armed forces. And in the last 1 week, there have been so many challenges in Shasha area of Oyo State. We want our in-house researcher to bring us up to date. What has happened to the Oyo State we used to know? Now the place is devastated. Please update us of what is going on.
Okay, the Shasha market incident came up last week, Thursday, Friday, on a market day. And from one incident to the other, we find the market is no longer there. There was a riot in the market that led to destruction of life and property. And it has also led to the northern element, the Hausa traders, their families and relations have now moved out of Shasha. Shasha is not too far from Ibadan. It's in Akinyele local government area in Oyo State. And it has now become a national crisis because we find the governor of Ondo State, governor of Oyo State, governor of Jigawa State, governor of Kebbi State, governor of Kano State converged in Oyo State in Ibadan on a solidarity visit to Governor Makinde of Oyo State. They visited the market where the market used to be to see with themselves the level of destruction of property in that market, and they tried to intervene by talking to the parties involved, but it looked they were not successful because an attempt to visit the Seriki Fulani in Shasha, the indigents of that place did not allow the governor to visit the palace. And so from there, they had to move to Ogun State, Abuja, to participate in this crisis of the herders and farmers. And so the last that I've heard about it now is the Nigeria Governors Forum have decided to rebuild the Shasha market. That is the point where we are as we speak.
Oh, thank you so much. Mazi, how did we get here that the Nigerian government is absent in governing Nigeria and it has led to warlords taking over? How did we get here? I mean, nobody feels secured in that country. And unfortunately, is degenerating to ethnic clashes in a country that we have been together for 100 years. What do you think we can say to salvage the situation?
Well, I think this is very critical now for those who are in the security sector to begin to look into how they can how they can manage this emerging security challenges or social disorder that is brewing in the face of many of us, both at home in Nigeria and abroad. And if something is not done quickly, such as putting in place a very strong social and social security or social intervention programs that will deter people from going into all these series of interventions, self-intervention, collective or individual interventions in order to protect self or collectiveness of the community is a problem, is a big problem. We all know that Boko Haram started like this gradually. Instead of the government to nip it at the bud when it was manifesting, you know, as an infant organ, they were petting it, hoping that they will be able to take control and manage those organizing Boko Haram as a group protesting the interests of a particular religion. But then it went out of hand of those in governance, managing the individuals that were running this network. And so also the same thing with the bandit. I keep saying it all the time. These whole networks are as a result of people using individuals for political ends and failing to manage these individuals properly at the end of usage. And these individuals now, having so much money, having so much network, begin to arm themselves and prepare for the other days that are ahead of them. And as such, these politicians begin to lose the authority they had over them when they were nobody. Now they are somebody. And this is Person. We see how we told Buhari as many times as possible, manage the manians of the headers, the Katuriaras, we call them the Fulani Bororoges, how their movement in modern society, 21st century, people should not be moving cows by foot for hundreds of miles through other people's territories. In as much as Nigeria is owned by all Nigerians, there are areas that are owned by hereditary families and group of communities, and people cannot come from anywhere and trespass and take advantage of the weaknesses of the owners of the community to displace them and occupy. This is not right, and we said it many times. Early enough, they should have been able to stop this whole arrangement of cattle rearing from village to village, town to town, and begin to arrange this cattle business in a place, in a ranch, just as it's been done in developed world, even in South Africa, even in Mozambique,
but we've been saying that, Godson, we've been saying that. Why have they not done it? Is it so difficult to do? Why have they not? Why we've been saying this for the past 5 years?
It's because of the interest. Like I said, it's politics. People playing politics with everything in Nigeria, including the man in authority. He's playing politics. The man said he had only 100 cows, and up to date, he's still having 100 cows. He hasn't killed one, and they haven't given birth to anything. So you have this politics that is going on, and this politics is eating deep into the insecurity situation we have. We have this guy in the Southwest now calling himself Sunday Igolo, who was used as a political element to fortify politicians in the Southwest, in Ibadan, in Ogun, and whatever. Now, he has taken advantage of headers, because what is the essence of setting up Amotekun if people knew that the likes of Sunday Igolo are in existence? He has made Amotekun look highly irrelevant, because he has now become a very strong person that even Amotekun is afraid of him. Now people are begging him to even take over and run Amotekun. What are you insinuating? If he becomes so powerful and highly armed with charms, with gun, with all the champlets and whatever, if the politicians who are now grooming him lose control of him, he becomes the warlord. We see another set of people.
Okay, let's try and see.
It almost happened when the president was the head of OPC.
I'll come back to you, Mazi. I'll come back to you. Dame Judy, we just want to know what happens on the ground. How safe is it to travel by road from Abuja to Benin? We just want to know, without any putting any opinion on it, how safe is it to travel around Nigeria on the road?
That's a very tough question. Traveling by road now really is not advisable. Most people are advised to travel by air. By road is really not safe for now. But there's still some areas that are safe. People can travel, but quite a number of areas are not safe.
Yeah, but the challenge we have is that you don't have air travel between towns and villages. So how do we resolve that one? I mean, for the masses who may not even have the money to travel. So one is to have the money. The other is to have availability of air traffic. But I was listening to someone the other day, and he said the airfare has skyrocketed in Nigeria, that between Abuja and Lagos, you're going to be paying something close to 100,000. How far is that correct?
It's very expensive now. I know that between Abuja and Lagos, economy flight tickets have risen to almost 50,000 naira, not 100,000 naira. Almost.
Is that return?
Yeah, before you could get a ticket for like 20-something thousand. So it's like double the price. It's really, really high.
Wow. And what do you think we can do, the government should do to help the citizens to move from one place to the other when it comes to the possibility of being kidnapped, abducted, beaten, shot? Are these things filtering around so that the government could hear exactly what the citizens are going through?
But in fairness to the government, you have a lot of police and military presence in the endemic spots, just to ease, movement. I mean, just to help with security on the road. So, I mean, for now, that's the much they can do to ensure that they have security presence in those endemic areas. You have quite a number of security presence in the endemic areas, whilst they are also doing what they can to tackle the level of insecurity generally. I'm not in the law enforcement, so I really don't know what the strategies they are putting in place, but I know that they have security presence in endemic areas, just to give us some sense of...
With those security men there now, is it likely that we should be advising Nigerians you can travel to through those roads now that we have security? Are we in that position to advise fellow citizens?
Well, I see myself traveling all these roads, praying and traveling. So, I mean, anybody who has to travel by road would have to travel by road and hope for the best, pray and hope. Because I still travel by road anyway when I have to travel by road. For example, I come from Bayelsa State, and I have to, there's no airport in Bayelsa, at least no functional airport for now. I have to travel by road from Port Harcourt to Bayelsa, which is not a very simple journey. So yeah, I mean, you just have to do what you have to do and hope for the best.
Wow. I know our time is coming up. We've got a short break, but Dame, we still want you to say one or two things that you do, because it's to publicize your role as the chairman of United Nations Voluntary Trust Fund. We just want to know more of you because the time is going. And by the time we come to the next segment, which is very soon, we'll be discussing some other issues. What else do you think we should know about you or your job?
Well, in the area of protection, the foundation is going to be rehabilitating victims of violence and trafficking. We're also going to have a phone-in counseling program. People can call. You hear of cases where they tell you someone committed suicide. That is because most people don't talk. They don't, know that they can talk to someone. So we have these phone-in counseling sessions where you can phone a trained counselor to give you, to talk to you if you're depressed, and things like that. Then, of course, we are going to be giving some kind of aid, in terms of empowerment, skill acquisition training or educational training, and empower them after them. We're also going to be having a program called The Better Life for Vulnerable Women and Mothers, and also One Woman, One Girl campaign. Every woman is encouraged to adopt a girl, mentor her, empower her, and monitor her. So these are some of the programs that my foundation is going to be embarking upon. And then in the area of my role as the chairman of the UNVTF, we're just going to raise awareness to the fund, because a lot of people are still not aware of the fund. But there are 32 countries now, member states of the United Nations, who are contributors to this fund. We're expecting other countries to join in contributing to this fund, because the fund is for victims of trafficking in persons, especially women and girls. And we're also looking at the high net worth individuals as well as the organized private sector. So I will be doing a lot of awareness, to ensure that people understand what this fund is about and people can key into the fund, because at the end of the day, we also are beneficiaries of this fund through the NGOs who are giving grants to take care of or empower victims of trafficking in persons.
The name of your NGO is very interesting. Roost. How did that come to pass? Roost.
Well,
Where
I
did you
was
get it from?
thinking, roost is a place of rest, a place where you can find comfort, succor, because eventually, as we grow bigger, we're going to be having a shelter, a shelter for
Okay.
victims of domestic violence, a shelter for victims of rape, victims of
Okay.
trafficking, for boys and girls and for women as well. So we're going to be having a shelter for them, a shelter, a place of rest.
Oh, thank you very much. It's just interesting for us to know. Roost, yes, a place of shelter. I remember that forever. Roost, and we want everybody to remember that Roost. Their website is coming up very soon, and you will need to know more about them and see how we all can contribute to Roost. Maybe one of these days, who knows? We may be roosting there, but we have to go on a short break. When we return, we'll be listening to one of the greatest elder statesmen still alive. Is talking about what is happening in Nigeria. Of course, you know him. Professor Wale Soyinka will be with us, not live, but a recording of him by the BBC. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you for watching Ben Television. The program is You Decide. We give you information, facts, and analysis. But at the end of the day, you decide. We want to listen to Professor Wale Soyinka. He was saying something concerning the security of Nigeria and how government should tackle it. And I think it's worth listening to. We must say that we must give the courtesy, of course. The courtesy goes to BBC, and we acknowledge that. And we want to thank BBC for this. One we want to look at. Please give us that video, Professor Wale.
So what do they expect of us now that this war is on our doorstep? Of course, there has got to be civil mobilization. And if we keep waiting for this to be centrally handled, we're all going to become, if we're not already, slaves in our own land. That for me is personally intolerable. It's not an acceptable condition. And whatever it takes, I stand ready to contribute in any way. And I've made my government understand this, that we are here not just to live, but to live in dignity. Right now, our dignity is being rubbished. My forest has been taken over. It's been shrinking. My normal hunting grounds, yes, it's been shrinking. My family tells me that if I go in depth again, they will have me institutionalized.
What would you be expecting from the president at this time? What do you think he needs to do to break the riot act, if you like, or tell the people that it's no longer business as usual and we are ready to nip this at the bud right now?
Address the nation. Address the nation in very stern, unambiguous terms. Say openly, yes, I know I am the patron of the Cattle Rearers Association, etc., I'm a cattle rancher myself. It's a business, and I run my business on business terms. I do not run my business by killing people. I do not run my business by raping, by displacing, by torturing. I do not run my business by occupying land that does not belong to me. And I'm warning all business people in the food commodity, all you cattle rearers, whatever comes to you for illegal occupation or for trespassing on other people's property is your business. And I'm ordering the army, I'm ordering all the security forces to back citizen effort in flushing you out. I expect nothing less, even at this stage. It's very late already, but it's not too late. This is the language which I expect from President Buhari. And as long as that language does not come, I must consider him quite complicit in what is going on, because the buck stops at his desk.
What is your biggest fear about where we are now?
We may enter a phase of serial skirmishes, which get more and more violent, become less and less focused, and swell into, I hate to use the word, may develop into a civil war, and a very untidy, messy one at that. That's my biggest fear. And unless action is taken, and I'm very glad that the governors are coming together and discussing in all seriousness. I'm very glad that they're even pulling in renegade groups like Maiti Allah, for instance, and obviously talking sense, knocking some sense into his head. I notice into the heads of their spokes, their leaders, their representatives. I notice that they're now talking about accepting the decision of governors and agreeing to obey the rules. Very different from defiant, arrogant language which they were using when Benue was a totally unconscionable language after people had been killed.
Okay, so let's talk about Sunday Igboho, a Yoruba activist that has also taken a stand. He has been in the news in the last couple of days, in the past few weeks. Some are criticizing his stand, some are saying that he's going overboard. You talk about excesses and all that. Have you met him? What do you think about his actions and how he's carrying on?
No, we've never met. And incidentally, I hope people will always report things properly. I saw a byline on one of these media online reports. Wale Soyinka calls Igboho a hero or something. I never did any sort of thing. But Sunday Igboho has responded to a situation in the way he knew how. Now you will see that he's trying to work with others. This is the way these things really happen. Somebody one day, he reaches explosion point and he says, I cannot take this any longer. And it takes unilateral action. You cannot, the action may be excessive, it may be wrong-headed. What matters is that somebody has responded to an unacceptable situation. Any errors which he makes is for the rest of us to correct by calling him. And I know that a number of people are doing that.
Credit to BBC. Nat, Wale Soyinka called Mieti Allah renegade group. How do you think that group will take it? And secondly, what are your fears if the government continues to be absent?
Well, as usual, I didn't get to view the BBC interview. I didn't hear anything. But I know that Mieti Allah will not take it lightly the way Wole Soyinka has described them. Because Mieti Allah has now become a factor in the political system in Nigeria, in the security apparatus and strategy in Nigeria. And recently, the Miyetti Allah have called upon Buhari to allow all Nigerians to purchase or possess arms for self-defense. The other thing is there's just been a breaking news. This has to do with security. This morning, around 3 a.m., bandits or Boko Haram, we don't know yet, attacked Government Science College, Kagara, in Rafi local government of Niger State, killed one student, took away how many yet, we don't know, staff and students of that college. We've told that 10 of them have just been able to escape. That is part of the insecurity we are facing in Nigeria. It's similar to the Kankara 344. We don't know how many students or staff are involved this time around.
Okay, in 60 seconds, what are your fears if the governments, the three governments, federal, state, and local governments, continue to abscond from their job?
No, it is glaring now. It is clear that the federal government, the state, and local government have failed in their constitutional duty of securing Nigeria, the welfare of Nigeria, lives and property. The federal government, state and local government have failed woefully, and individuals have come out now to fill in the gap, to fill in the security vacuum, to fill in the space that have been left ungoverned. And that's why we're having people like Sunday Igboho imagining. We're having people like the Tom Love of South South, what's his name? Dokubo coming up in River State and part of Delta State. And we also have the other groups springing up, security groups. And we know as we speak that every state now have a state police called by various names, whether Amotekun, Isba, Southeast Security Group. So many things are coming up. Individual warlords are coming up because the federal government, state, and local government have failed in performing their constitutional duties in providing security.
Let me, Mazi, in 60 seconds, what are your fears with this lacuna where anybody could just give security for himself? What are your fears, Mazi?
Well, my fears is that when you leave an empty space, a vacuum, something has to fill in that vacuum. And that vacuum, if filled negatively, will result into a negative and a very dangerous outcome, and which is where Nigeria is boiling into at the moment. My fear is that the National Assembly, both at the federal level and the State Assembly at the various state levels, have failed in discharging their constitutional duties of calling the governors to order, calling Mr. President to order, using their power of impeachment to restore some sense of directions and connection and principle to governance. If we don't do the right thing, we will continue to get a wrong result from it. You look at the appointment of the new chief of staffs. The process of appointing them and confirming them was not duly followed. But then people are rambling all over the place, trying to point one issues from the constitutions or one issues from the executive order and so on and so forth, trying to make things look like it was normal when it is abnormal. And that is the kind of country we live now, where the principles of nepotism, favoritism is the order of the day in governance, rather than the principles of fair democratic order, fair principles of good governance in place. And when we lose these values, like the what the conservatives call the social moral values of organized society. When we begin to lose these social moral values, which absolutely this present administration has lost contact with, has not touched with, people begin to look to themselves as the savior of their own selves, which is where Nigeria is
Okay.
going. See the Meiti Allah calling for if the Meiti Allah is calling for a dangerous position of asking the government to allow for every Nigerian to arm themselves. I tell you, the day Buhari announces,
we
that
still have one
people will
more
be dying
clip to
like
watch
people will be dying
before we
like
close
birds in
today,
Nigeria.
and that is why I'm sorry, I just have to cut you short. We have one more clip. Let me see. Let's have a look at Dame Judy, because I want to ask her a different question. Dame Judy, you said you come from Bayelsa State. There is a news that broke in the last 7 days that the Shell company can be sued in the British courts now for what they have done in the oil delta states of Nigeria. And I want you to have a look at this clip, and then we will ask you that how far has the devastation gone? And do you think suing them and the little money they will give, are they enough for what have been done? But let's have a look at that video clip first.
They're hard for us to feed ourselves.
Don't have power. I cannot stop them.
How do you expect the youth to feel? How do you expect these people to survive?
The oil nine drum. Now the oil drum. If you go find fish itself, if you kill fish, that fish you know fish up me. Some of them where they good small. Now would they take manners. But some of them, if you see, I'm already head. Now don't remain. You can't slim, bakala, no flesh from body, and so they suffer the fish. So no way. They hard for us to feed ourselves.
What will I do? There's nothing I can do. I don't have power. I cannot stop them. Look at the those are here now. No, that has been paid. Before they came and removed my crops here, no information. They only came and removed everything here. So we are pressed to the wall. No freedom in this place.
Oh, well, not the best film to close the day, but Dame Judy, and incidentally, you are from Bayelsa State. What is the human angle to all the devastation that it has caused? How far has the Nigerian government helped? How far has the international governments helped? How far are our people suffering? We give you the floor.
Oh, wow. I mean, the level of devastation is very sad, you know. I mean, because to think that the water is where most of the villagers rely on for their source of livelihood. They drink that water, they use the water to cook, they bathe in the water, and the fish in the water. Now the fish is non-existent, they are dead, floating in the water. There are farmlands, these are farmers as well. The farmlands are also devastated. We have oil floating on the farmland, so they cannot even farm. So now you put them out of business. We don't have farmers, we don't have fishermen any longer. And then you talk about the impact on the environment. You know, the oil, you know, the smell of the oil everywhere in the environment, the gas flaring in the environment, which has not stopped for years and years. You're talking of the health implications, you know, the respiratory health implications on the children, the men and the women. You know, I mean, it's a terrible situation, because if you look at it in from every angle, we are really at a loss. And unfortunately, some of the community leaders are complicit because they allow these oil companies to just do what they like with impunity. You know, things that they can't even do in other countries. They come to our land, our country, and they just operate with impunity, you know, by bribing some of these community leaders who should fight for us. Some of them have sold us out completely, you know, no regards any longer for our lives, you know, even for our property and for our health. You know, so yes, we have international organizations sometimes who come to do what they can do, provide pipe-borne waters, provide, you know, electricity and things like that. You know, government comes and does what they can do. Ogoni cleanup, I think, is in the works. I don't know how far they've gone. I'm not from Ogoni land, so I really don't know how far they've gone. You know, whether they are going to finish the cleanup or not, because it's a huge projects. I don't know how long it will take them or if they will ever finish cleaning up, because you can't clean up somewhere that, you know, it is really, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I'm heartbroken, you know. I mean, every day I go home, I'm very sad, you know, because I mean, you see these things, you know, you don't need to be told, you see it every day.
They said they can be prosecuted in the British courts now. Is that any succor? You know, is that something that we should be happy about? At least there will be a form of justice. Is that something you think we should take home?
Well, if the British courts will give us justice, speedy trials and justice at the end of the day, then it's a welcome environment, because justice is not cheap. Then I don't want to say more than that.
I was just about to take you on. Tell us about the Nigerian justice. Well, you said it's not cheap, and again, it's so slow, isn't it? But it's a pity that we find ourselves here. And I will just give my colleagues a minute each to say something on that clip. Nat, what do you say to that clip? How devastated these people have taken us over the years? How sad?
Well, it as them Donley has said, there is no more life especially in Rivers and Bayelsa State, the oil producing states, because for the past 50, 40 years, the land has been made desolate. You cannot live a clean life in that place. Anywhere, any angle you look at it, the place is dead and needs resurrection.
Wow, resurrection. Mazi, in 60 seconds, what will you want to say? Is it to the British court, British system, now that we just have to take it away from the Nigerian system?
Well, just to add to what Julie have just said with regards to the fact that justice is not cheap. We can get justice just by mentioning justice. But then if the international justice system we want to be fair and just, then we may have some hope for the people in the Riverine area in Nigeria, in the oil producing area in Nigeria. But then we should take aback a bit the situation in Netherlands with the Shell company, where the first judgment that was passed a couple of weeks ago was in favor of the farmers who were affected by the pollutions in their farms in a place in River State. But then Shell is now taking the judgment to the Supreme Court in Netherlands to challenge that judgment. So you find out that, like Deme said, justice is not cheap. I hope those who are battling with Shell with that judgment in Netherlands are prepared to go further to the Supreme Court, and that could take another 1 or 2 years, and probably one.
Yes,
I mean,
even before the first judgment, justice is expensive and difficult, but time also is expensive for us. It's on this note that I have to thank specially our guests from Nigeria, Abuja, Nigeria, Dame Judy. You have been you have been a very good contributor to our program today. We look forward to having you in the future. Dame Judy, we are most privileged to have you today. Thank you very much for coming. We're looking forward to seeing you in Abuja and here in London as well. Do travel safely in Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank my colleagues who researched throughout the week to see what is going on. Mazi Gosin Azu, thank you very much. I'm sure that next week we'll have an occasion to discuss again at the depth level. Nat Yakwo is going to be another 1 week of in-depth social research. I want to thank you, and I want to thank the crew in the studio, Anthony Alcin, and the rest. Of course, all thanks to the executive producer, Dr. Alistair Shiode. Until next week, God bless Nigeria. God bless the world. My name is Shegun Johnson.